What's up, good people, and welcome back to my channel where we bond over our favorite TV shows, trending topics, and everything in between that we care about. So today, what we're going to be doing is a reaction video to last night's airing of the Fox 5 Atlanta investigative team report led by investigative reporter Randy Travis, where they're doing part 3 of their investigative report related to Darius Cooks, aka Darius Travoy Williams, and his history of predatory business practices, harassing people, doxing people, and just basically crimes against humanity and not being a good human being. So Randy Travis has been hard at work over the past couple months now doing these features where he's basically dissecting this world of this scammer. So with that, before we get into the video reaction, please take this time to like this video below to help us grow. Also, if you're not a subscriber, this will be a great time to hit that subscribe button below. And especially if you've been here multiple times before watching videos and have yet to hit that subscribe button to officially join the subscriber family. Come on, we're waiting on you. So, and if you want to add that extra layer of support to me and my channel, YouTube has now included a thanks button below with a little heart, which actually allows you to give a monetary tip if you're enjoying this content. Helps me, helps the channel grow. This is a full-time job for me. Requires a lot of research and and work. This is real work, people, happening. It's a different kind of work, but it's real work happening. And it's not required. However, if you are interested in showing that extra layer of support, it would be greatly appreciated by me and this channel, as it will help us continue to grow. And before we actually get into the reaction part of this with the news story, it occurred to me that I've never really talked about Randy Travis and his history or his credentials, because I've been hearing chatter from the Darius Cooks cult, D-Wives, and him himself, where he's tried to portray Randy Travis as just doing stories on Darius because for clicks and views, just like he says everyone. Like, he's so rich and famous that we are all attaching ourselves to him so that we could grow our platform. In his mind, it has nothing to do with the fact that he's a scammer, a predator, and has committed crimes against humanity for over a decade. But anyway, Randy Travis is very much so a legitimate reporter who does not have to chase stories for clicks and views. He's well established. So have his bio here, which was very interesting. And so I was like, let me add this in the video. And honestly, I had to come back and add this piece in when I ran into it on Twitter. So Randy's bio reads, Randy Travis, investigative reporter. Randy Travis is a Peabody Award-winning investigative reporter for Fox 5 Atlanta. Randy joined WAGA in 1990. In 1994, he moved to the station's distinguished investigative unit, the Fox 5 I-Team. Since then, his stories have led to businesses closing that misled the public, exposed government waste and corruption, and even sparked criminal investigations that ultimately sent people to prison. So, I just wanted to put that out there, that we're really talking about a very legitimate investigative reporter, seasoned veteran reporter, who only attaches himself, if you want to call it attach himself, or only does stories in which he knows that there's a means to the end. And so, in other words, Randy Travis is a veteran reporter who does not do his job for clicks and views, because there were no real clicks and views back in the 90s when he started, 94 when he started. He does this because it's his calling, it's his job, and he's good at what he does when it comes to calling out corruption and predators and scammers and people who commit crimes against humanity. And so now that we have that gaslighting piece of Darius's smoke and mirror show as it pertains to Randy Travis, because everyone's either jealous or clout chasing, it can never be about him. It can never be about the actual crimes that we're actually all talking about. It's about us and us trying to get something out of, I guess, his crimes. I don't know. But anyway, now that we have that all cleared up and we have set the record straight that this is a veteran reporter who knows what he's doing, let's get into reacting to his actual news story of his investigative report, part 3.
The Better Business Bureau of Metro Atlanta has issued a warning about doing business with a celebrity online chef. Our team already investigated Darius Williams, who uses the name Darius Cooks, for his business ventures based in Georgia.
Well, Fox 5 I-Team reporter Randy Travis returns with more on the story for us. Randy?
Yeah, Russ and Courtney, the BBB says more than 70 consumers have complained that they paid Williams for cookbooks, cookware, or special dining events, yet didn't get the product or a refund. The warning comes as Williams found himself in a courtroom this week facing one of his more vocal critics.
I was here, y'all. That's the attorney that was a beast.
With lies, with fraud, with harassment, with bullying.
The hearing in Cobb County Superior Court was supposed to decide whether Darius Williams should be granted a permanent restraining order against a woman he claims harassed him. Instead, the online chef faced allegations he's the one who routinely harasses his customers and critics online, a practice sometimes called doxing or trolling.
Trolling is making fun of someone or picking on someone.
And Williams certainly does that. Unusual for someone who claims to run a legitimate business. Williams posts multiple times a day to what he says are millions of followers. He also sells cookbooks and cookware through his website, charging fans to attend his Dining with Darius cooking events at short-term rental houses around the country. But some customers complain the celebrity chef never sent their product, but kept their money. His own reverse version of Dine and Dash. For many food lovers, that would be bad enough. But when those customers try to get a refund, they say Williams never responded. And when they went on his social media pages to complain, Williams would block them or make public their personal information and encourage his faithful followers to fire back. For one critic, Williams posted pictures of her young children. Another, Melanie Ford of Atlanta, says she was bombarded with hate-filled texts, calls, and comments from Darius Cooks fanatics.
That person that called me and threatened me and my parents, she didn't know us. But she did it solely based off of her weird kind of attachment to this man.
He wants to get clicks. He loves attention. This group of women that followed him love the drama, and so does he.
That's facts.
Sharika Blackman lives in Minot, North Dakota. She got the first cookbook she ordered, but when the second one never showed up, she complained to the Better Business Bureau.
He told me that the post office hadn't sent out the package yet. But when I called the post office, they told me that they hadn't received the package yet. All he did was print out a shipping label.
She said she discovered others on Williams' social media pages with similar complaints, so she added her comments.
And when I did that, he blocked me on social media.
He blocked you?
He did.
What'd you make of that?
I was very upset, especially since you already have my funds.
Classic
the
moment
BBB
here.
said Williams has not responded to
house.
any of the 70 complaints filed against him. Sharika said it finally took disputing the charge with her bank to get Williams to deliver that second cookbook, months after she complained to the BBB.
Even with all of the evidence that is surrounding him, that numerous people are experiencing the same thing, there are still people that are defending him and still upholding him in his trash behavior.
That's why his company has an F rating and a new BBB warning advising consumers to use caution when doing business with Darius Cooks.
He is now
use caution, people,
for the safety that this woman is
or don't at all.
Back at the hearing, Williams' attorney urged the court to issue that permanent restraining order against Melanie Ford. She was seen near Williams while he was getting his hair cut the last time he came to town.
He is over it.
A T-shirt was left on his car.
I had to have my depression and anxiety medication increased after this incident happened.
Ford didn't get a chance to testify before the hearing got extended to another day.
Oh my God.
The judge said he'd rule after that. Meantime, that chef special, trolling, appears to still be on the menu.
And so you're saying you do not troll people online?
Not without reason.
Well,
he doesn't troll without reason.
Whether he had any comment on the BBB warning about his company. He wrote me back and said, Randy, respectfully, I don't care. So there you go.
Despite all of the stuff going on surrounding him, it seems like he's still maintaining a popular online following.
Oh, yeah, talking about this. It's just more content for him. And, you know, the doxing is terrible. We talked about that in an earlier story. But the basic mission of a business is to deliver products to people who give you money for those products. And if you can't do that, and you don't want to respond to complaints from some of your customers who say, I didn't get the product, you're going to have more problems down the road, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Well, you don't know what's going on inside somebody's mind, but he doesn't seem particularly anxious in those videos where he's calling on people to.
Yeah, he said he was in fear for his life, but the evidence didn't seem to indicate that.
Right.
All right. Randy, thanks.
Okay, thanks, Randy.
Thank you, Randy. Okay, so I had plenty to say as far as commentary, but I didn't want to disrupt it because I would have literally been pausing it like every scene, every time they did a jump to something else. So just in summary, I guess, it's a lot. Okay, so what I'm going to do is like replay it in my head and go through point by point, like of the segment. So one of the first things that was stated in this story is that the Better Business Bureau has based this on 70 complaints. And so what I want to be made clear is that is 70 complaints of people who actually reached out to the Better Business Bureau. And there's some other stuff that has occurred as well. So those are the ones that are of record. I'll put it that way. In addition, you have to keep in mind with this, because one of the gaslighting tricks that Darius Cooks has, or as he says in his own words, created a narrative, because he's always creating his narrative. The narrative he's created around that, and because it's 70 customers, where he says, well, I have over 144,000 customers, and so to say 70 of them have issues with me actually is really, really good. Well, that's not what they're saying. That's not what they're saying at all. These are 70 people who actually went as far as to post and reach out and leave comments on the Better Business Bureau website. It's way bigger than that. And of course, we have all the thousands of people who have never gone to the Better Business Bureau regarding Darius Cooks LLC. And we've seen them in some of the videos that I've even put out thus far with those people who were scammed by him, who were former customers. None of them ever mentioned going to the Better Business Bureau, because they didn't. They instead tried to reach out to him, and then their final resolve, most of them, was to go to their bank and get the reversal of the charges. So let's not play that game. But again, Darius is full of gaslighting, creating his narrative, as he said himself. So just for those who may be buying into some of that foolishness and saying, oh, but they saying 70 people, and he said that he's had 144,000 customers. Whatever with that. But the other piece of this is also keep in mind, out of those 70 people, he didn't attempt to resolve any of their issues. And so that's the other piece of it. These are people who are saying that I reached out to him, I emailed him, I did this, I went on his social media and I tried, he blocks me, etc. And then for them, then they just then took it to the level of the Better Business Bureau. And on top of that, the Better Business Bureau is saying not only would Darius completely ignore those consumers who still hadn't received their product or service, but he was also ignoring the Better Business Bureau's attempt to help mediate the situation. The other piece is, in my previous video, I mentioned that the Better Business Bureau was a part of the government. That was a misstatement. And as I also said in the video, I was tired because I know that they're not a part of the government, because I've actually taken workshops and had certifications through the Better Business Bureau years ago with my business. So I knew that, but I stated differently because my brain, I was tired. So no need to comment that again anymore in my video, because I'm not going to say that anymore. But also no need to comment under that video anymore, because it's like, okay, after the 15th person is like, is anyone paying attention to that fact that at the beginning of the comments, someone has already, or 5 or 15 people have already said that. But anyway, just wanted to clarify that and get a disclaimer. And for those who did not know, the Better Business Bureau is not a part of the federal government. And the other piece, which I was so glad that they included in this, and I wasn't sure that it was going to make it in this particular story, was them showing the actual court hearing. And I purposely didn't mention in my video recap that I knew that the camera crew was there, because I knew there was a bigger piece and all of this coming with it. As I always say, there's a lot of work happening behind the scenes, and I can't share everything, and I do not share everything in real time. You know, we're doing stuff. But anyway, so I knew about the camera crew. I knew what the ultimate plan with that was. I knew what they were there for, and I knew that it would play into the investigative report. So it was really cool knowing that there was a full recording of the court hearing. As you can see in there, you saw Melanie Ford, you saw Darius Cooks looking like a crook, looking like a whole criminal, sitting there. Oh my God. So I'm glad that you guys got to see what we got to see in real time. And you guys got to see it like from the front. I was on the side. I was in the back left-hand corner of the courtroom. So I had a good perspective. I could see him kind of from the side, but your perspective with the video is definitely way better. But in it, and I'll just comment on actually what was in this clip. You saw that Melanie Ford's attorney, whose name is Will, I don't even know his last name, I've just been calling him Will, but his name is Will, and I'll be going through her answer for the counterclaim of her seeking attorney fees for this frivolous order of protection thing that Darius did for clicks and views. So at that point, you know, we'll get Will's first and last name out there. But anyway, Will is a beast. I'm like, I don't want to say too much, but anyway, Will is a beast. And so one of the things that you saw in here was Will confronting Darius about his history with doxing and trolling. And Darius, so he went through the whole thing of like dissecting it, like as you saw in this clip, he's asking Darius what's the definition of trolling. And so Will was dissecting this whole trolling piece and the history that Darius has with trolling. And so one of the pieces of evidence that he presented, and he presented a couple, but there's more, much more to come, and especially because the case got continued. But the one that, was in here was Darius's header on his Twitter page, where Darius says he's a full-time lover and part-time troller. So this dude is confessing that he's a troller, and so, but yet he's always the victim, and yet he's the one saying that he's being harassed by, you know, those who just really speak out about actual crimes that he's doing. But he wants to play the victim and act like he's being harassed by people who are really only stating facts about the things that he's doing out there. And so this whole victim mentality, which is the angle he and his attorney were taking, was dismantled brick by brick by Will during the trial. And so, but I'll get into that a little later once we get into the answer and counterclaim. I can talk about some of those pieces. But anyway, Will really dissected that, did an amazing job. It was like watching Law and Order or something. It was like television worthy, those moments. But the other piece was Darius claiming to be fearing for his life. However, in the moment that he says that Melanie's was in the parking lot at his barbershop, he filmed it, and in the film, and I'll have this too, I'll put all this together, but in a different video. But in the video, he's filming her while she's filming him and calling her a crazy bitch. He's calling her fat. He's like, you are funny as F. He was cackling like he was at Def Comedy Jam or something. Like, so he's doing all of that, but yet projecting that he was in fear for his life that entire time. And so he ends up blocking her car in as he was leaving. They weren't parked next to each other at all. Her car was near, I guess, the front of the lot. He then blocks her car in so she can't leave, and then calls the police. Well, the problem with that is, if you're in fear for your life, why are you blocking in the car of the person you are afraid of? That's gonna only aggravate that person if they are out to harm you. And so that was one of the positions that was stated as well. The other thing is Darius claims that he was he's been so upset by this particular situation with his alleged stalker that he has had to up his mental health medication. And the issue with this is, and I've told those of you who've been following me and this part of his story through my eyes for the past 9 months or so, because I've had a troll tell me I've been wasting my life because I've been doing this for 9 months. Like, no, he's done so much crime that's taking 9 months plus. The truth is, we're going to be 2.5 years, 3 years in by the time I can get done with everything to expose this criminal. So anyway, so for the past 9 months, those of you who have been following this through my eyes, you know that one of the things that I've talked about with Darius, every time he's gotten caught up and the walls start closing in on him, literally since Chicago, since his first major scam in Chicago, where he scammed with the Freshco scam, he scammed, me and his best friend from high school in the food truck business. He scammed all of the Cupcake Gallery investors. There were some other side investors. I got a story coming out soon about that, because I'm amplifying the voices of the individuals as well. So got a story coming out about that. It's brand new because I've also been told that I'm regurgitating stories. Sometimes, yes, I've explained that because everybody's not watching every video. So that's why I'm doing this little history recap. But anyway, I've already explained that Darius has a habit of when he does wrong, well, he always does wrong, but when he gets caught up in his wrong and the walls start closing in on him, the first thing he goes for is that mental health excuse. And so we saw it in Chicago when he scammed all of us and then ran off to New York. When he finally settled in New York and those who figured out where he was and he was talking to certain people that I knew and posting on social media at that time, like his Facebook, he was posting about his mental health. And it was just too much in Chicago and it was too stressful. Not mentioning the scams. He's acting like, oh, running these businesses were too stressful and I had to go and it was about my health. Anyway, so he did that. Then remember the restaurant. So many of you kind of came in or even just got, I ain't gonna say many, some of you came in and started to get more familiar with him or even hear the buzz about his scammery around the closing of the restaurant. So right before the pandemic, like 2019. No, that was early 2020, right before the pandemic hit. And so what was his excuse then? I had to close my restaurants because of my mental health. And then he got on the infamous picture or video of him being on camera with his articles of incorporation documents, binders stacked on top of each other because I'm rich and, see, I run all of these businesses because I'm important. And then on top of that, he has like 2 or 3 pill bottles that you can't tell what they really are. But anyway, he shows that and then says it's because of his mental health. So I thought, because of the fact that we've been calling that out, that when these walls started closing in, that he would get a little creative. But the truth is that he's just a one-trick pony. He has this whole pattern. The pattern that you see now, I've been seeing, or I saw rather, back in 2010. And then 2010, 12, whatever that was. It's the same pattern. It got repeated over time, like everything from the doxing and harassing people and the fake bot accounts that he has to promote himself and to act like it's other people to harass people and silence them. He's literally been doing that since, 2011, 2012. I literally have stories from people who were trying to call him out back then, like customers who were scammed, that he did that to. They got bombarded with harassment, people sending them things like, I know your personal information, and it scared them off. And so he was able to do that. And these were, everyday people who didn't have platforms like I do. So when he threatens that he's going to dox me, and while I was in Atlanta, that's a whole story. I guess, do I share that in here? No, I'm going to save that story I'm going to have a whole video connected to the meetup where we all ended up meeting up with Darius Cooks face to face while I was in Atlanta and how that broke down. That's video worthy all by itself. So I'm gonna throw that in there. I'm throw something together real quick for that, and that'll come out this weekend or something. But anyway, this has been a history with Darius, and so he's now trying to claim that he's had to up his medication, his mental health medication, due to this whole situation that he created, to be honest, because he could have cursed her out. He could have cursed Mel out that day when they were at his barber shop and they were in the parking lot. He saw her t-shirt on his car, all that stuff that went down. He could have filmed it for his clicks and views, called her crazy, did all of that, and then drove his ass home. Or where he went to Publix after that. Drove his ass to the grocery store to get more food to, bust his gastric sleeve. So he could have did that and moved on with life. But instead, and he mentioned it himself, that as he was leaving, he thought maybe I should actually not leave and then call the police because I don't know where this would go, blah, 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 this and that. Really, he said it that way as a person. A rational person might say that, like, well, I fear for my life and I don't know how far this goes, so I want to document it. But you're not going to block that person's car in. You would take the plate number down, and then you would, and the question was asked, why didn't you go back? If you were afraid for your life, because this is what Darius was saying, he was afraid for his life. Why wouldn't you go back into the barbershop or stay in your car and drive off somewhere? But instead, what Darius did was he called the police. You know, I'll show that too. Y'all gonna get tired of me saying that's coming soon too, but I can't throw everything in every video. But anyway, there's body cam footage and everything of that particular situation. I guess I'll leave it at that. So I don't want to get too deep into this story because it gets explained with that piece of it, with the body cam footage and all of that. But the other thing about this mental health thing, and again, don't get in my comments talking about I'm not, sensitive to mental health and all of that. I've talked about it on my channel. I've talked about, I'm extremely mindful of it and sympathetic to it and knowledgeable and experienced with it. So I'm not coming at mental health. I'm coming at Darius and his using it as an excuse to be a predator. That's what I'm coming for. So these are not general judgmental statements about people with mental health concerns or issues. Not at all. So don't do that. Don't do that here. But anyway, the other piece of the mental health thing, the last piece, is that Darius has admitted that he hasn't even been diagnosed. Now, this was months ago. He said that. Now, this was after he closed the restaurants, or they were shut down. We say, sometimes I slip up and say he closed them. They were shut down in Georgia. He closed the one in Chicago because he didn't have no money to commingle and all that. Now I'm doing too much. But now I'm losing my train of thought because I'm doing too much, being too silly. Oh, but at that time where he closed the restaurants and then said, again, they were closed by the state, shut down. When they were shut down by the state of Georgia, and he got on acting as if he closed it voluntarily with the pill bottles, even after that, years after that, because this was last year sometime, where he was actually saying that he had never been diagnosed with anything. He had literally claimed that he had mental health issues and had pill bottles turned, with the labels facing him rather, not us, so no one could read them. Had those pill bottles up there, talked about his mental health and being on medication, but then months later says he's never even been diagnosed with any mental health things. How the hell you getting medication? They're not going to give you those medications without you going through therapy. They got to see what's going on in your head in order to know what you need to balance things out. So that was just, again, he talks so much and he lies so much that, you pay attention. The truth always comes out, not on purpose from him, but it always comes out. And so I said all that to say, and I spent too much time on this mental health piece, but it's just the fact that he carries this lie all the way to the point, and hey, Darius, because I know you're watching, is that you carry this lie all the way through to court and perjure yourself. And then we got evidence that you're perjuring yourself, but it was evidence shown in other ways you're perjuring yourself too. But anyway, so it was that part of it. And then the other thing that was mentioned in here was Darius and his millions of followers. We pretty much know at this point that Darius does not have millions of followers. Now, does he have, now TikTok says he has 1 million, and TikTok is easy right now to get followers on. Like when these platforms are newer, it's just easy to garner followers because of the algorithms and how they're set up, and they're set up to be a little easier to win on. YouTube and all that, it ain't easy no more. Instagram used to be easy. That's hard as hell. But anyway, these numbers that you see on these platforms, and I would say, honestly, probably with the exception of TikTok, because that might be legitimate. And also just keep in mind that TikTok is generally not like your real core followers. Those of us who use TikTok, we know we browse, somebody's funny, something's interesting, we'll follow it, but we're not like really fully invested. Not saying no one is, but just generally, it's a different kind of audience. It's a different kind of vibe, but it's a little different than a YouTube where you start to connect and these videos are much longer and then you do your lives and all of that. And so you start to connect and build your bond in a different kind of way. And so Darius his engagement does not match the numbers. Like there's formulas to this stuff. And so you can clearly see that someone who's on Instagram, and I think he was at 600 and something thousand followers on Instagram. He's lost like over 6,000 in the past month or two, in the past couple months for sure. He's lost that many, but his average viewership on his lives is about 500 to 600 people. It doesn't match up. And when it's higher, because it is higher at times where you'll see it go in 1,000, 1,500, something like that, that's because of all of the people who are being voyeurs who are peeking in because something like this newscast would happen, and then people will join the lives to see what's happening and screen record and get evidence and all of that. They are not his followers. They're not. His core group of followers are on Instagram, some on and Facebook, and they only equal, somewhere between 500-600 on average. In addition to that, you could always tell by, because they call themselves the D Hives, and I call them D Wives because of the fact that many of them treat him like he's a husband, and their loyalty to him is one of which a wife would have for a husband. And so I say all that to say, to have supposedly the level of millions of followers he has, they would be a lot louder, or be able to be a lot louder than they are. The trolls sprinkled here, there, is just not enough. And then him and Crystal, his alleged partner in crime, them too. She's got, burner accounts, and she was in the courthouse doing stuff and being a mold and all kind of stuff. So we know what y'all are up to. And you would think like a 60, 70-year-old woman, whatever she is, you would think that, she would be beyond that, but she plays those petty games too. That's why they're so close though. It took me a while. At first I thought she was like innocent and didn't know, and just, this sweet old lady, she doesn't know that this man is really a criminal. The truth is, she does know, and she's complicit. And she's complicit. I'll just say that much. Okay, so the other piece was his highlight of the story of an former customer, Sharika Blackman, where what was interesting to me is that she, again, the patterns, because again, he only has the same pattern. I think it's definitely too much for him to do all of this scamming and then create new patterns with his scamming. So he create, it's the same baseline of pattern. So the baseline pattern that she experienced is one I've heard hundreds of times, literally, where, and in her case, she was a repeat customer. And so it's funny to me, or ironic or interesting to me, when I see people in our comment section and on social media and different places where they're commenting saying, well, I've purchased from him before, and I've gotten my cookbook, and I've gotten my pound cake, and I've gotten this, and I've gotten that, and so I'm going to continue to patronize him. Have at it. Eventually you'll be Sharika Blackman. But that don't affect me none. So just because you've gotten it before, Sharika's story, and many others, I have some that'll come out on these videos too. Many others can tell you just because you purchased from him before doesn't mean you're going to always get your product or service from him. You have lucked up. You have been a part of the core special group of people who, for whatever reason, didn't get scammed. Your timing was perfect. Maybe you were purchasing when he actually was in Atlanta and actually did go to the warehouse that's always vacant when I go by there, but that's a whole nother story. But that's your experience now. It doesn't mean it will always be your experience. Then the other piece is the excuses. So like she said, when she reached out to him in the beginning, he responded and then tells her, oh, I've shifted out. I've printed your shipping label. Check with the post office. She checks with the post office. They're like, well, he's printed the label, but we've never received any product here. We've never received a package. So then that's his other piece. He then, and this would irritate the F out of me as a consumer, like of any company. I'm actually irritated now because I got to go to the post office and pick up something from Amazon delivered because they too lazy to bring it to the house. So like, I'm pissed. Like when I'm paying for something, I'm paying for a service. I don't need to then have a research job connected to getting my product or service. And that's what he puts on his customers. So the ones he scams. So you'll see him say many times when he does those bogus those bogus, I was about to say something else. I forgot I was on YouTube. But when he does those bogus Instagram live customer service events, stupid. But when he does those, I'm tired, y'all. That's why I'm being I'm being a little mean, but I'm tired. And y'all, I gotta get y'all this content, but so it is what it is. Y'all see it a little more raw. But when he does those customer service Instagram lives, you will see him, fake typing, and then tell them or showing them the screenshot. And again, he told her he printed the label. He can print these labels, and this, just use your brain, people. He can print these labels. You printing a label don't mean something has actually gone out. Common sense. Common sense. So he will, say he'll pull up, on the computer and then show them, whatever information showing that it's supposedly being, tracked or whatever. And he's like, no, sis, you got it. Sis, you need to call the post office because, sis, it's showing, it went to, their address in Romney, Texas. I'm just making up now. No. But he's telling them that, and then it's like, why the fuck I gotta call the post office? You call the post office. I paid you for the service, for the package. How is it now my job? And he does that with ease. And his D-Wives cult buys into it like, yeah, you need to call the postmaster. No, I fucking don't. Get my package here or give me my money back. What? So, all of that. So that's a part of his game. And like she says, then, he acts it. Now, he's putting it out there on his live like he's come to a resolve for the person, or he's giving them information that's going to help them solve this problem themselves. Then she waits, and then nothing is happening. She and everybody else, they wait. They're still trusting him because they still think we're lying. We're making all this ish up because we're bored, and I'm trying to create a YouTube channel on somebody who's going to be in jail in a couple years. So how that's going to work out? That ain't no long-term plan. Y'all so stupid. But anyway, no, y'all not. I can't say that. I'm tired. Forgive me. But so he does that, and then they eventually realize, hey, I haven't heard nothing. It's been some more days. It's been some more weeks. And so then they go to his social media because he's not answering the emails. He's not responding to multiple emails, and they have no other way to reach him. And so they comment when they can get a hold of him. He's on Instagram Live, 4-5 times a day. That's the time where they can say, they put in the comments, hey, I still haven't received, blah, blah, blah. What does he do? Sometimes he'll entertain it, ask them for an order number, and sometimes play a game with that piece of, the shenanigans. Other times, depending on his mood, they just immediately get blocked. Sometimes he acts as though he is helping them and asking them for order numbers and giving the fake, resolve, then blocks them so they can never reach back out to him. It's the game, and it's the pattern that's been going on for the longest. There are hundreds of people who have the same exact story, but yet his cult believes his version. That's a psychological thing. They the ones who need the medication. But how much of this am I going to really leave in this video? Probably all of it, because I'm in a mood. I'm tired, and I read some comments, and I control too because I have a platform to be able to do it with. So y'all not smart coming after me like that. You're not smart at all. But anyway, I'm tired. I need to wrap this up before I say something that gets me canceled off YouTube. But I will say the last thing that Randy said, which was very, it was subtle the way that he said it, but very impactful and very much so what we're talking about here that many people aren't still yet getting. And he said a person who has a business and has people paying for products and services and is not delivering those products and services and ignoring those consumers will end up, and it's not good, will end up having bigger problems down the line. Randy was subtly saying, we're talking about federal crimes here, people. This game he plays with the postal system, where he's claiming that he sent things through them and he's having people make claims with them, with the postal service, for things that were never shipped, and creating, fake labels, printing, fake shipping labels from his warehouse or his bedroom, and then never following through on that and having these people reach out to the Postal Service. Those are federal crimes. Like, what are we doing here? and so just know, again, there's bigger things happening with all of this. This part here, what I do, what many of us do in Twitter land, LSA, Lipstick Alley, for those of you who don't know, and the other people we're speaking of, I'm not thinking of right now. Oh, and Facebook. There's for any of you who want to join it, there's a deplatform Darius Cooks, or might be Darius Cooks, deplatform Darius Cooks or Crooks, on Facebook. It's a group, and that's where you'll see a lot of receipts too. So feel free to go over there and join. There's a public and a private page. I don't know if you're getting the private one, but you can go over there and try to join that. But Lipstick Alley, you can go to Twitter. You can follow the hashtag Darius Cooks. You'll see a ton of stuff there. But the goal of us, what we're doing as a coalition, is we're building awareness for the public, for you guys, so that you are aware of what's happening, so that you don't unknowingly become the next survivor of Darius Cooks and anyone else. Because again, you know, I got other stuff coming down the line. This is a lot. This whole Darius Cooks thing is a lot. This dude it's mind blowing, because this is somebody I knew very well, was extremely close to see who they've become. And it's like, to create this when you were smart enough to create the right thing and do it the right way, but I guess it's the demons in you or something. I don't know. So, you know, I could try to figure that part out. This goal here is just, you know, to shine a light on darkness and speak to the public and hopefully help prevent new survivors or victims in the meanwhile, while the authorities do their work. So, and because I've had some questions, you guys got everything you need yet? What do we need? What are we doing here? Because I'm like, this is no end. This is not we collect so much stuff and then we get to like this goal post. That's not what's happening here. And he's done so much over the years, over a decade, and continues, like in real time, he's still doing stuff that literally weekly, if not every other day sometimes, we're getting new information, or you're finding out something new, or somebody new is coming out. So this is not something that just ends. Well, it'll end when he's, you know, indicted and all of that. Well, I would say locked up, because when he's indicted, I'm gonna follow that whole story too. Y'all know I'm following it. I just hope maybe it's in Atlanta, because I might move there one day. So maybe that'll be my chance to check out Atlanta and, you know, see if I like it. But, you know, he's trying to run off to Florida too. So maybe I'll end up in Florida. We'll see. Wherever the trial is, that's where I'll be. But anyway, if you've made it to this point in the video, please hit that like button below to help us grow. Please hit the like button, because I'm pushing through it. Some of y'all seeing the rougher side of me, the raw, because I'm just being so petty right now. so help a brother out by liking below. Also, if you are not a subscriber, this will be a great time for you to hit that subscribe button below to join one of the most evolved subscriber families in these YouTube streets. I'm not showing my evolved part as much in this video, but hell, it is what it is. I'm human. Also, if you want to add that extra layer of support to make a brother feel a little better, please consider showing your extra level of support by hitting that thanks button below with a little heart. That's a way to give a financial tip to me and this channel, to help me continue to grow it, to, you know, help me. I got to travel again to the next court hearing. This is a full-time job, y'all. So just like you would tip your bartender, I just served y'all up some good drinks. Y'all, some of y'all feeling real good with the tea I just gave y'all. Tip your bartender. But anyway, messing up stuff. I'm tired, and I got to go to a concert later. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, with that, until next time, until I upload the next video, make sure to take care and be blessed. Peace.
Hey, popping like I'm supposed to. Watch out for the people that ain't close to. Speak a little something you could toast to. I ain't tryna hear about what you won't do. Moving like I'm into. Hit the ground running like the rent do. Speak a little something that you're into. I ain't tryna hear about what you been through. Like hold up, say what's the hold up. I got the pack, who got the roll up? I'm tryna pull up. It seem like every time I show up, it gotta go up. See the drip, they see the glow up. Oh, now they know us. See, it's funny how my pockets out of shape, but I fit for the flex. Clear the phone call, hit my chick with a text. Parlay through the bird with my drip from the jets. Save a couple hundred by your with the rest.